Hello everyone, welcome to Anna's Violets. Today we're going to talk about one of the most unique and fascinating rare plants out there that you can find in your stores, Euphorbia platyclada, or otherwise it's called dead stick plant. As you can notice, it doesn't have a single leaf on its stems because this is how it grows. And actually it's also blooming. Do you see the flowers? No, most probably you don't see the flowers because this is how it blooms. The flowers are tiny, yellow normally, but you can hardly even see them. Let me show you. So this is the flower, and this is also the flower. You see, this is how tiny they are, and they are also yellow. The flowers are not beautiful, of course, because you don't even notice when it flowers. However, the stems are very beautiful. Look at this pink stem here. It even gets brighter under the sunlight. So in the spring, and starting of course also from the spring, but also in the summer, I put them outside in the balcony and it grows under the direct sunlight and it gets to, almost purple color. But in this video I want to show you this plant. We will also start to propagate it right now. That's why here I have several pots, including this tiny one, and I'm gonna plant also some stems, but also I will be showing you, of course, how to propagate it and have more of this amazing plant. Of course, it is growing in this tiny pot and I bought it for 4.99 euros. But of course it was tiny. You can see that the stems were just small like this. And from here it branched out and grew more stems basically. But now the plant itself is very heavy already and it cannot even stand by itself. So that's why I'm gonna plant it in here, adding more soil. And yeah, still I chose smaller pots because it's a succulent. It doesn't like to grow in a very big pot and I don't want it to get rotten. All right, it's a succulent plant, as I've already mentioned, and it has a very unusual appearance. It looks like a dead stick for most of the year. Sometimes some varieties can grow a couple of leaves, especially when it starts to bloom, but this variety didn't have a single leaf for years already. So I would assume that this variety will not produce leaves at all. And I must say it's also very easy to take care of this plant because I just water it when the soil is completely dry, stays dry for a couple of days also, and only then I water it. But it looks very healthy. It never had any issue, even when years ago I had thrips. Thrips didn't reach this plant because either they're not tasty or their skin, their stems is very hard for thrips to feed on it. But yeah, basically it's very hard to be damaged. Maybe the only reason that you can lose this plant is overwatering, but if you don't overwater it, it should be fine. So yeah, let's get started with propagation. Basically, the first step is to find a healthy plant, healthy stems, which you will most probably have, and then you will need to decide how large you want your stems. But of course, try to make them a little bit large so that in case the place of the cut will get rotten, you can still cut it even more and still save the stem. But basically, if they are a couple of centimeters long, should be already enough for propagation. As for the soil, of course, try to use sandy soil. Soil for succulents or cacti will do pretty well. I always add also a little bit of perlite to the soil to increase the quality of the soil, to keep the moisture of the soil balanced, because perlite, vermiculite, clay pebbles, they will take the excess of water and then return it back to the soil when the soil gets dry. And for propagation, I'm using razor, a very sharp razor. Here it is, but you can also use, of course, very sharp knife. Scissors, I wouldn't really like to recommend using scissors because the stems are very thick and no matter how sharp your scissors are, it seems that you can actually damage the tissue where you cut them, and then it will be a bit challenging for them to root. So I use this razor and I think it's just easier and the cuts are cleaner with this. And of course you need to disinfect it, sterilize it so that no bacteria can go inside when the wounds are open. course, it's an euphorbia, and you may already know that euphorbias have this white sap when you cut the leaves or cut the stems. So this sap can be also a little bit allergic to some people, so maybe use gloves. I know that I'm not allergic to it, and I will be very careful, so I will not wear gloves in this video, but I definitely recommend you do so. And also, when you cut the stems, you will need to leave the stems. That's why I have this napkin here. You will need to leave the stems to dry out a little bit until the sap goes out and the wounds will be healed. They will callus over basically. But let's decide now where we cut, and let's start with propagation. So we have very long branches here, but as the plant is very unstable in its pot, I will rather prefer, removing it from the pot, putting it on this tray, and then start propagating. You can see that it's already the time to propagate it because all the roots are growing outside of the pot. It will be even challenging now to remove it from this pot, but don't worry, even if the stems, not the stems, but even if the roots are a little bit damaged, it's a succulent, it's quite resistant and it will grow pretty fine. So this stem we can cut from maybe here. Let me show you. Yeah, from here. You can see how the sap is coming out, and that's why we will put them on this napkin first to dry for a couple of hours, and only then we will continue. Now let's cut this one also from maybe here. And we can continue with these stems. As for the light, as I've already mentioned, I grow them in a balcony outside. At first in the spring they see some indirect light, and then in the summer I put them directly under the light, under the direct sunlight, and they change the color. You know that some succulents have this property, have this feature that they can change their color, and this one does it also. Something like this. I think this is pretty cool already. So I will also use a little bit of napkin to dry the stems that are staying on the plant itself. Okay. Oh, it's pretty abundant, so yes, you can see that the cuts are almost dry already. And this will be our plant to the mother plant basically. So we'll just loosen up the roots as much as possible, but it's very dry now, and as you can see, there's not much to really remove because it was a tiny pot, and I'm just trying to massage the roots now a little bit so that they don't continue to grow in circle but can spread a little bit. Yeah, there's no soil left basically. So I will plant this one in this pot. Yeah, this is basically the size that you would also like to use, because don't repot basically your succulents in a tiny pot into a bigger pot immediately, but increase the size of the pot step by step. So I added just a little bit of soil here, and now it should be fine. I will already plant it like this and add soil from the sides. I could use actually just slightly bigger pot, but I think this size is still good. Next year I can repot it again if I want to increase the size. Perfect. Let's water it. And we will put it in this one. Our first pot is ready. Now, as for these stems, I will let them callus over for maybe 2-3 hours. You can even let them stay like this for 2-3 days even, and only then you can plant them. Nothing will happen to them. They're quite sturdy. They have a lot of nutrients and water in the stems. The stems are very thick, as most of the succulents, and you can plant them directly in the soil. Do not plant them, or do not put them in the water for rooting, because as they are succulents and the stems contain already a lot of water, they can easily get rotten in the water. But you can slightly dry them like this on the napkin, put them somewhere warm, not under direct sunlight, of course, just in a bright place, and plant them after a couple of hours or after a couple of days, 2-3 days, not a week, of course. And here is also the soil. Let me quickly show you which soil I used. So this is basically succulent soil with perlite, very simple. And these are the pots that I am going to plant them in. So I will have several to share with friends and family. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I will continue later with the propagation, and by the end of this video I will also show you the results. So watch till the end to see how many pots I will have and how they will look like. And of course, if you have questions, please write them down in the comments. I will be, of course, very happy to answer them because I reply to all of your comments, all of them. And stay passionate about plants. See you next time.